It's a technique. How many people are trained? We have full-time doctors, we have full-time engineers, we have full-time advocates. How many full-time da'is do we have? The Quran says, as I quoted in Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 110, it's compulsory for everyone to do dawah, at least part-time da'i. But the Quran says in Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse number 104, let there arise out of you a group of people who enjoin what is good and forbid what is wrong. These are the ones to attain felicity. Quran is speaking about full-time da'is. There should be a group of full-time da'is. It's the duty of the ummah to support them. When the Christian missionary says that pray, you know what he means? He means money. He means money. Jimmy Swaggart, who had a debate with Sheikh Ahmed Didat, every day he used to receive a donation of $1 million to keep his head above water. $1 million. He used to be seen on more than 150 countries on the satellite. That's in 80s, you know, 80s. 150 countries used to be seen. $1 million a day. When he says pray, people give him money. We Muslims, we do dua. We Muslims, alhamdulillah. We do dua. Hum aapke liye dua karenge. Oh, we will do prayers for you. See, prayer is required. Allah's help is maximum that we require. We require du'as. But the Muslims are a bit selfish, majority of us. It's free of charge. When we ask actually to give something which will go away from material loss, they will not come forward. It's a shame on us. We are supposed to be the community which gives the maximum charity. What we require training. It's an art how to communicate. Whether in writing, whether in speech, whether in public, whether on the internet, it's an art. It's a different technique. We train in IRF how to do dawah with a person if you're traveling in a bus. No, you will be with him only for about 20 minutes. Then he'll get down. You may never meet with him ever in your life. He's a part non-Muslim. How to do dawah with a person who you're going to spend 20 minutes is an art. You can't give a lecture, okay, now I want to talk on concept of God in major religion. He'll listen to you. It's a technique. How you do dawah with your colleague who you meet in your office every day. How to do dawah with your classmate you meet in school or university every day. It's a different technique. You may be with him for a few years. How to do dawah with your neighbor who you may spend 20 years with. It's a different technique. How to initiate. You can't say, okay, brother John, I want to talk to you about Islam. Please give me 20 minutes. He won't give you. You have to instigate him to ask you questions. It's a technique. How do you instigate him to ask you questions? It's a technique. You can refer to my cassette on techniques of dawah, where I've given talks how to instigate the person. He will tell you, please brother, give me half an hour. I want to know about Islam. That same man, it's a technique. Like how the people are giving us money to show our programs. Technique. How to speak on stage is a technique. What should your distance be from the mic? How do you move your hands? How do you modulate your sound is a technique. It's an art. The Christian missionaries, they are trained in Harvard University. Do you know that? They are MBAs. How many MBAs do we have in the field of dawah? How many? How many? How many do we have? Very few. Hardly. If you search, you may be able to find. Alhamdulillah, we have in our foundation MBAs. Brother Naushad Nurani is an MBA. We have people who are medical doctors who are full-time da'is besides myself. We have people who are trained. We want the cream of society. In the Muslim Ummah, what we have, that you put him in school. If he fails, you put him in Darul Ulum. When he's unsuccessful, you want to put him in Darul Ulum. We require the cream of the society to preach Islam, not the rejects. Alhamdulillah, yet we have great ulamas. It's because of Allah's help, not because of us. We require the best. You teach him about medicine. If he can pass MBBS, that means he has a certain level of intelligence. Let your one son or one daughter go into the field of dawah. But no, oh, I spent lakhs of rupees for him to become doctor. How can I sacrifice my son who's going to earn for me lakhs of rupees? How can I? Oh, I've made him an engineer. I've flogged out. The parents will say, how can he go for dawah now? If he fails in lower classes, you say, oh, I've sacrificed my son for Islam. Hypocrites. Hypocrites. What are we? We require the best. We require the cream of the ummah, not the rejects. In spite of that, alhamdulillah, we have great scholars coming out from Darul Ulum. They are doing hard work. They are doing good work, alhamdulillah. But it's a shame on us. We require trained people. Islam always speaks about excellence, about the best. We are the khaira ummah, the best of people. Whatever we do, we should be the best. I tell the people that you may do a very small job. You may be a jhadu wala, sweeper, but be the best. Try and excel in that field. If you are a mochi or cobbler, be the best cobbler. As long as the job is lawful, it's halal, see that you excel in that job. We require the best of the people. And now media and communication is expanding. The whole world has become a globe. It's very easy to communicate. And if we Muslims, if we do not propagate the deen, I pity our state. See, nothing happened to Islam. I'm not bothered about Islam. You know why? Allah gives a promise in the glorious Quran. 3 places. In Surah Tawbah chapter 9 verse 33 and Surah Saf chapter 61 verse 9, Allah says, هُوَ الَّذِي أَرْسَلَ رَسُولَهُ بِالْهُدَى وَدِينُ الْحَقِّ لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ وَقَالَ الْمُشْرِكُونَ. That Allah has sent His messenger with guidance and the religion of truth so that it will prevail over all the other ways of life, over all the other isms, whether it be communism, secularism, atheism. Islam is destined to supersede all, overcome them all, master them all. However much the pagans don't like it, however much the mushrik don't like it. And Allah repeats the message in Surah Fatah, chapter 48, verse 28. هُوَ الَّذِي أَرْسَلَ رَسُولَهُ بِالْهُدَى وَدِينِ الْحَقِّ لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ وَكَفَىٰ بِاللَّهِ شَهِيدًا. Allah has sent His messenger with guidance and the religion of truth so that it will prevail over all the other ways of life, over all the other isms, whether it be atheism, communism, secularism, any religion. Islam is destined to supersede all, overcome them all, master them all. And enough is Allah as a witness. With or without you, with or without me, the rubbish that you and I are. What are we? Nothing. The rubbish that you and I are. With or without you, with or without me, Allah has promised that His deen of Islam, Deenul Haq, will prevail over the full world. Allah doesn't require you and me. Allah has His ways. Allah is giving us an opportunity to do a prophet's job and to earn a prophet's reward. It's a shame on us. Allah doesn't require you and me. Allah is giving us an opportunity. Make hay while the sun is shining. If you put your efforts in His way, you will go to Jannah. Allah doesn't require you and me to spread His religion. He's giving us an opportunity to make hay while the sun is shining. The Quran says in Surah An-Nahl, chapter 16, verse number 125, "Udu ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah wal ma'zatil hasana wajadilhum billati ahsan." Invite all to the way of thy Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching, and argue with them and reason with them in the ways that are best and most gracious. I would like to end my talk by giving the quotation of the glorious Quran from Surah Fussilat, chapter 41, verse 33, which says, "Waman ahsanu qawlan mimman da'a ila Allahi wa amila salihan wa qala innani minal muslimin." Who is better in speech than one who invites to the way of thy Lord, works righteousness, and then says, I'm the first to bow to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
Thank you, Dr. Zakir Naik. We now move on to the second part of the program, which is the question and answer session. For the purpose of the question and answer session, may we have slips of papers being sent over here so that we may pose these questions, as well as those of you who are interested in asking questions directly to Dr. Zakir Naik. There are 2 mics that have been provided in the auditorium. You have one in the ladies section, and sisters who are keen on asking questions to Dr. Zakir Naik may pose questions to him on the mic over there. And we have one over here right in the front next to the stage, and members of the gents audience who wish to ask questions may also do so. Let me briefly tell you what should be the guidelines that we would like to observe during the question and answer session so that we derive maximum benefit. 1 person at a time would be allowed to ask a question. If you have more than 1 question, please await your turn at the end of the queue so that when your chance comes, you can ask your second question. After you have asked a question, please do not go back to your seat. Remain standing at your position so that Dr. Zakir Naik can address you while answering your question. May we have the questions over here so that we can begin soon, please. Please, sister, may we have your first question?
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. In an attempt to promote Islam, is it all right to quote from the translations of the Quran? And if so, how do we know which translations are authentic?
The sister asked a question that while promoting Islam, giving the message of Islam, can we quote the translation of the glorious Quran? And if we have to do, then how do you know which is authentic? Sister, there are various translations available in the languages. As I told you, approximately 100, a little bit more than 100. What you have to do, sister, a person who's an expert in both the languages, Urdu and Arabic, you have to ask the person who's well versed in both the languages, which is a better translation. The best, what I always say, that if every Muslim knows Arabic as a language himself, that's the best. So he himself can judge what is right, what is wrong. He himself can get the message of the Quran directly and then propagate amongst the people. But since I know that 80% of the Muslim world doesn't know Arabic, what you can do is that you can ask the person who's an expert in that field, who knows that language, maybe Malayalam or maybe Tamil, whatever language it is, and Arabic, and see whether it's right or wrong. And those people are well versed with both the languages. They will be able to tell you which translation is correct. Or you can compare the various translations that you have. If there are more than one, if there are 10, you can compare, and you'll find that majority of the places, they are common. In some places, there are difference of opinion. So when the basis of difference of opinion arises, that time you can go and ask a person who's well versed in both the languages, which is more correct. And a person who has knowledge of the Sahih Hadith also. Besides having knowledge of the Quran, many times the commentary of the Quran is given in Sahih Hadith. So a person who's well versed with Quran and Sahih Hadith, he will be in a better position to explain to you that which commentary is better and which translation is better. Hope that answers the question.
We have received certain slips of questions over here. The first question that is posed to Dr. Zakir Naik is that the media always portrays Muslims to be very ruthless and barbaric. And one of the instances that they quote very often is the slaughtering of animals. Why do Muslims slaughter the animals in a ruthless manner by torturing it slowly and painfully killing it is a common question that a lot of non-Muslims writers portray in the media. How does one answer this onslaught?
The brother posed the question, and it's a good question, that the media and non-Muslims, they portray Islam as a ruthless religion, as a merciless religion, and they quote an instant that why do Muslims, when you all kill the animal, when you all eat the animal, you all slaughter in a particular fashion, so ruthlessly, you all torture him slowly and you make him die slowly and so painfully. Why not directly in one shot, one jhatka finish? Why are you all so ruthless? And one, there was an argument going on between a Muslim and a Sikh. You know, a Sikh is a person who comes mainly from Punjab, you know. Aside from their Sikhism, a person who wears the turban, they are Sikhs. We have approximately 2% of Sikhs in India. So once a Muslim brother of ours and a Sikh was having a discussion. And the Sikh was saying, oh, you Muslims, you all are ruthless people. You all torture the animal painfully. Why don't just give one jhatka and finish the animal is dead? Why kill the animal so mercilessly? So our Muslim brother, he replied, let's see, you Sikhs, you are a coward people. You are attacked from behind. Muslims, we are mard ka bacha, we are attacked from the front. This was a battle of wits. It's not the right answer. It's a battle of wits. He didn't know, so he said, oh, you're a coward people, attacking from behind. We are mard ka bacha, we are brave, courageous, we are attacked from the front. That's not the answer why the Muslims slaughter. That he was using his hikmah. The reason that we Muslims do zabiha is the Arabic word for the Islamic way of sacrifice, of slaughtering, is zabiha. Is during zabiha there are certain conditions that the knife should be sharp and the cut should be quick and various conditions. And amongst them the main is that you should take the name of Allah and you should even cut the windpipe and the vessels of the neck. The jugular veins and the arteries out here should cut. The reason that we cut the windpipe and the jugular veins and the vessels of the neck is because when we cut, we should see to it that we don't damage the spinal column. Only cutting the front part, the animal is yet alive. The heart is yet pumping. So when the animal is yet alive and the heart is yet pumping, the majority of the blood flows out of the body of the animal. Majority of the blood. The reason that we want the blood to flow out of the animal's body is because today's science tells us that blood is a very good media of germ, bacteria and toxins. And if we have this blood along with the meat, there are high chances that you may get various diseases. So we Muslims, we are hygienic people. That's the reason when we slaughter in the Islamic fashion. And besides that, meat, which is slaughtered by the Islamic way of zabiha, remains fresh for a longer time. Remains fresh for a longer time as compared to meat by jhatka, directly with the one shot or by stunning or letting the blood remain. Because blood is a good media of germ and bacteria, the meat can get rotten very fast. So it remains fresh for a longer time. And besides that, if you analyze, it's a misconception that the animal feels pain. Because when we do zabiha, when we slaughter and we cut the vessels of the neck, the blood supply which goes to the nerve which is responsible for feeling of the pain, that blood supply is cut off. So the animal does not feel pain. The blood supply going to the nerve which is responsible for feeling of pain is severe, so the animal does not feel pain. I do know that the animal kicks and writhers, But the kicking and writhing is due to the gush of flow of blood. It is not due to pain. In fact, on the other hand, in stunning, when you hit the animal hard, the animal feels tremendous pain. Here it's a quick cut and the blood supply to the nerve going is severed and the animal does not feel pain. He dies after a few minutes, 3-4 minutes, but it's not torture to death. In stunning, very often the animal dies after 5 minutes, very often. Sometimes may die on the spot, but very often even that animal also shivers. But in the Zabiyah method, he does not feel pain. Even in stunning directly also if he dies, yet it is more inhuman than the Islamic method in which the blood flows out, German bacteria is less, the meat remains fresh for a longer time, and the animal does not.
May we have the next question, please?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Junaida from Mangalore. Some Maulvis say that journalism is not a good profession for Muslims. They say it consists more of ghibat, which Islam does not permit. But brother, even I'm unhappy to say that those are the one who does not, those are the one who do not forget to read the rumors page when they have the paper in their hand.
The sister has posed the question that some of the Maulvis say that journalism is not a good profession because it consists of ghibat, and besides that, these are the same people who when read the newspaper, they read the newspaper of humor or rumors, whatever it is. So isn't these people are contradicting? Sister, journalism is of various types. Why do those Maulvis read, whether they read or not, I don't know, sisters. Whether the Maulvis read rumor or don't read rumor, I'm not aware of that. You can ask, each individual Maulvi is a different person, so you can't just blame all Maulvis together. You can't paint all the people with the same brush. I don't know which Maulvi you are referring to. But coming to the first part of the question, that some people say that journalism involves ghibat. Sister, journalism is of various types. You have genuine journalism, yellow journalism where you simply malign people. You have journalism which is good. And you have to follow the basic guidelines of the Quran, which says in Surah Isra chapter 17, verse 81, وَقُلْ جَاءَ الْحَقُّ وَزَاقَ الْبَاطِلِ إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوقًا. When truth is heard against falsehood, falsehood perishes. For falsehood is by its nature bound to perish. So if you are doing journalism, see to it that you always speak the truth. I do know the Quran says ghibat is wrong in Surah Humazah chapter 104 verse number 1. وَيْلُلْ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ. Woe to every kind of scandal monger and backbiter. The Quran says in Surah Hujurat chapter 49 verse number 11 and 12 that do not backbite. If you backbite, it's as though you're eating the meat of a dead brother. I do know backbiting is wrong. So in journalism, you don't have to backbite, sister. And one more thing is there, that what is made public, suppose a person does something evil, and if you warn the people that this person is a bad person, that's not called a backbiting. If you call it backbiting, I would say that type of backbiting is allowed in Islam. Where if you're warning someone, for example, the hadith of beloved Prophet which says that somebody comes to ask you that you want to marry so-and-so person, and you know the background of that person, you say, no, that boy is not good, he has alcohol. If that's called backbiting, that type is allowed, because you're warning the persons against certain harm. So if you're warning the people of the ummah against certain harm of certain person, this type is allowed in Islam. So in journalism, if it's the truth, and you warn the people against some calamity, against certain evil, Islam gives you permission. But don't write wrong things